Hey guys, I build a lot of antennas on this channel, and what I usually do is I'll put up a diagram kind of like this one right here of the antenna and show what I'm going to do, a little sketch I did, and then I'll break to an intro and come back, and the antenna is built and I just go over the antenna and what it's all about. A lot of people have asked me, they're like, you know, I want to see you build it. I want to see you cut the wire, tape it to the pole, all that good stuff. Well, this is going to be that video. Stick around, we'll do it. Let's get started. This is Compass Rose Park. This is at Quonset Point, Rhode Island. What I'm going to do is the antenna I build today, I'll show you how to use it like I normally do by salt water, but we're going to build it on land here with like you were well inland. We're going to build it with counterpoise wires and what have you. Let's go over a few things you need. I got a little bit more than we really need here, but we'll just go over some things. First off, a pole for a vertical is important. This is the DX Commander 7-meter vertical pole. It's the one I'm going to use today. And I have other poles. I have a 5-meter pole, a 6-meter pole. This one I have the 10-meter DX Commander, but I like to mount mine whether on sand or in regular grass and dirt. I like to drive something into the ground. So to do that with this today, I have a piece of PVC pipe that I use, and it's about a little over 1 meter long. I'm going to use that. We got a plane flying over. Sorry about the noise here. This can also be done with some of my smaller poles. This is a surf fishing rod, surf rod holder. I guess the plane. Anyway, this is for used on the beach or surf fishing. This one's taking a hit. I think I drove it into a rock here on the beach in Rhode Island. But for smaller antennas, you can use that. Also for smaller antennas, this is a beach umbrella. It's actually called Anchor Away, a beach umbrella holder. As you can see, you can tighten down on it and put a pole inside of that. We're going to put the PVC in the ground, and what I do is I take the bottom of the pole off. This bottom screws off, and I slide it on. We'll do that in a minute. All right, that's one thing. Definitely need some wire. I'm going to build this one kind of lightweight, 24 AWG, 24 gauge wire. We're going to cut that. We're going to make the driven element and the counterpoise wires out of that. Need a good wire cutter. It's kind of a cheap one I have. This is a decent one. I don't remember buying it. I'm sure these are all on Amazon. You can check them out, but a good wire stripper, wire tool, wire cutters. Gonna need some electrical tape to tape the wire to the pole. I've got a rubber mallet that I drive the pole into the ground with. Absolutely need a tape measure. This one is, I know people have been trying to find it. You can't get it. It's the antenna tape by Radio Waves. So that's, I'll show you that in a minute. You can choose any standard tape measure. At the feed point, today I'm going to build the 17.5 is what I call it. It's a 17.5 foot, kind of a it's a random wire antenna for lack of a better term. It's a multi-band antenna. You do have to use a tuner with it. We're going to use the LDG 4-to-1 on. That's going to be the feed point, the transformer, the feed point that we're going to use. Other antennas I've used the 9-to-1 for like longer random wires for dipoles and stuff like that. We will talk a little bit about how horizontal antennas as well in a bit. A 1-to-1 balun. Also use this for a quarter wave vertical, resonant vertical. Also a 1-to-1 on. I use this as a choke, or sometimes when I'm building my vertical, not just this one, some other ones, I'll put a banana clip on it, and that'll be the feed point as well. I've used with some other antennas, I've used a small 1-to-1 choke, a 1-to-1 on choke for that as well. After that, definitely need some coax. This coax here has a choke with it. This is the Chameleon 50-foot coax that I use. And the radio, there's my Zygu G90 and a battery with that. That's just my little 6 amp hour LiPo 4 battery. So there you go. We don't need all of this. I just brought it all out so you can see everything. We're just going to use the PVC, the mast, the 7-meter mast, that on right there, the 4-to-1 on wire, that coax, and we're going to get up in the air. Let's get started. So here we go. Let's get started with the driven element. We're going to use the wire here. This is the green 24 gauge wire, I should say. The first thing I do is if you look on the cutting tool here, this one goes 20 to 22. smallest thing. It's pretty thin wire, smallest thing. I go just kind of eyeballing it down about 25 millimeters, or that's 1 inch, and strip the end off, the very first. I'll tell you the reason why that in a minute, but there you go. So I'd start off, first thing I do when I start building an antenna, get this off and strip off that little 25 millimeter end, because we're gonna measure out the driven element now. What I do when I'm measuring the driven element is I start, if you can see, I start the wire at the end of where I stripped it. So kind of bring it in there. So there you go. You see that little bit of that I stripped? That's not being measured. We're measuring it down here. Now we're going to measure out for a driven element. I'm sorry this is an imperial, but I've got an imperial tape measure here. 17 foot 5 or 17 foot 6 inches, 17.5 feet. So what I'm going to do, a little trick I do, is half of that is 8 foot 9 inches. So I'm just going to grab my wire, keep rolling, keep sliding until I get to 8 feet 9 inches. When I get to the 8 feet 9 inches, the halfway, which is right there, as you can see, 8 feet 9 inches, if you can see that. I'm done with the tape measure, because what I'm going to do now, I've got half the driven element measured to the halfway point, and antennas are long. I'm going to fold it over perfectly at that point. This is the 8 foot 9, and then just bring it back off the wire spool until we get the second half, until we get to that point. So there we go, we got it. So as you can see, where I trimmed it before, right here we're going to cut it. Use this clipper here, the other one. We're going to cut it right where we started. Boom. So there you go. Now we have the driven element. This is 17 feet 6 inches, 17.5. That's the driven element for the antenna. While we're at it, what I'll do is let's make the counterpoise wires as well while we're cutting wires. So what I like to do with counterpoise, if I'm using like this antenna, is going to be 20 through 10 meters. So the longest this antenna needs to be, one wavelength is for 20 meters. So let's just make 20 meters worth of counterpoise wires. So let's make 4 of them 5 meter long each. So that's what, 17 something, 16, 5. The length of counterpoise wires is not critical when they're on the ground. I just like to get, if I'm building it on the ground, at least per se a full meter's worth, a full wavelength down. On this now, I didn't strip it at first because I'll show you why in a minute. We're going to do them all together. We're going to measure one and cut it 5 meters or somewhat close to it here. Get it out here. We keep going. Boom, boom, boom. Bear with me. And we're going, and here we go. We are there. All right, that's about 5 meters. We'll bring the tape measure in again. I will tell you, be careful with tape measures. This one especially that I have cut myself quite a bit pulling this thing back. As a matter of fact, this tape measure's got blood stains where I've cut my hands on it. But all right, so we got one 5 meter wire cut. And just like we did when we folded over, from this point now, we can just measure until we get a second wire. Boom. Now we can pull again. We have, this will be the third one. We get the third wire. Cut that one. And one more. So we'll get 4 down. 4 5 meter counterpoise wires on the ground is what we're going to do. And with that, we're going to have basically a full 20 meters of counterpoise on the ground to do the trick. This isn't theoretically, there are some people that say to do this. There's some other videos I watched, Callum, Dace Commander or whatever, he's kind of, one of his thoughts as well. You can work with 2 or 3 or whatever, get what you can down. And I think for portable antennas is what we're building here. It's where we're at. So, okay. So now I've got 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 wires that I'm going to use as counterpoise wires. What I'm going to do now is strip all of them about a little bit more, about 40, 45 millimeters, about 1.5 inches, a little bit more than 1.5 inches each. And I'll show you why there in just a second. Get the other stripper out here. better tool, buy better tools. No, that's the cheap ones. Why I still have it, I probably should have chucked it and thrown it away. But here we go. We're going to do them all here. One, get another one going here. Two, three, and four. Well, that one didn't go. Let's try it again. Four. All right, so I've got all four of them stripped, as you can see, right? All right, the trick to this is for the counterpoise. The way I do it, you don't have to do it this way. And trust me, there's probably some people cringing right now. Those guys that are perfectionists, that want like nice soldered ends with fitting, with fittings on it or whatever. I take all mine and twist them around this way. Matter of fact, that's all I ever do. I build so many antennas, I don't have time to solder connectors on it or whatever. So here we go, 4 counterpoise wires all twisted together. And when we put this on the ballon at the end, we'll just twist it over and screw it on. I'll show you there. All right, wires are cut. We've got the 4 counterpoise wires here. We have the driven element here of 17.5 feet. Let's put the pole up. Okay guys, we're gonna put the pole on the ground. It's about a meter long piece of PVC pipe. This one reads schedule 40, 3/4 inch schedule 40 is what I use for the DX Commander pole. I do have it kind of sliced a little bit at the end to drive into the ground. This is what we're gonna use the rubber mallet for. Let's get it going. All right, she's in there, a little crooked, but she's in there. And next, let's get the antenna on. Let's get the driven element taped to the antenna. Okay, here we go. We take the top off of the DX Commander 7-meter pole. Get the small end first and start twisting it out. Pull it, twist it tight. Pull it, twist it tight. Some of you guys have done this before. I am making this video for newer hams. If you've never built or used one of these poles before, you just pull it out and twist it tight. And there you go. I have my back up a little bit, my 7-meter DX Commander pole ready to go. All right, now let's tape this driven element to it. If you remember, let's find the right end. Yeah, the end here, the end where I stripped. This will be the end we start with. And we'll start at the bottom, and because I know we're going to usually about 150 millimeters, I'll say 6 inches or so for us, grab the electrical tape and we just start taping there. I'll leave a little bit to play, a little play at the bottom of it. I don't tape it at the very end. Use some cheap electrical tape here. And I'm sorry you're hearing this crane over here beside me. This is the shipyard I work in, and they're working overtime and working. They're busy today, so that's the sound of production that you're hearing there. I apologize. Hopefully you can hear me over it. Okay, so wrap the electrical tape wire around about once, maybe twice. This is where I break out my pocket knife, and boom, wire's up there. Then about every we slide up every couple meters. It doesn't have to be exact. We put another piece of tape on it and tape it to the pole. What I do, if you can see this, is one of the joints, I usually tape right over the joints. That's an extra piece of protection of the pole not sliding down on you, because it's being held by the tape as well. So there we go. We'll get this up. Here comes another airplane too. I'm also by an airport, military airport. Quonset Point here is the Rhode Island National Guard. And another cheating quick trip, cheat. I just showed you using the let that fly over. I just showed you using the pocket knife to do it. You can also just break it. It's quicker if you're in a hurry. Hack and whack, baby. That's what I'm talking about. So we're taping this thing on. Another one. A lot of times this is what I do. Don't tell anybody when I'm building a quick antenna, especially I want to get it up in the air. That's all we do. All right, so we're getting all the way up the very top. I usually Leave about an inch or so from the top, 25 millimeters again, to the top of the, and there it goes. Okay, so to show you here, the wire is taped to the pole. Got 3 or 4 of them on it. All right, here's what I do now. I'll show you. I take and unscrew the bottom of it. I'll show you why. So it's hollow in there. We'll go over here and we'll put the pole boom. Yeah, it's copping a little lean. I didn't get it in there perfectly, but there you go. The pole and the driven element is up. Now it's time to add the 4-to-1 unund to it. We'll do that, and for that matter, I'll screw the counterpoise wires on it, and we'll be almost there. And there you go. So what I did is I showed you, left a little play there, screwed the driven element, just loosen that up, tighten it back down, wrap the wire around it, tighten it back down. But the driven element now is attached to the positive side of the unund of the transformer. Time to put the counterpoise wires down. Let's do that next. And there you go. I have the counterpoise wires with that longer piece of strip there, all connected to the ballon on the negative side there. As you see, with 4 of them, I've got them all 90 degrees apart, you know, in a perfect square, and on the ground. Kind of give it a look here, straight out each way. So 4 of them around this way to this one, 4 of them there, 1 each way, and there you go. So there's the 4 counterpoise wires. There's the driven element. Everything hooked up, ready to go with the 7-meter pole with the 17.5. And like I said, that's just this antenna. This isn't about the 75. This is just about building in general. And that's what I'm trying to do here. So next, let's add the coax. And we've connected the coax. So the antenna is built and complete. One thing about this coax, one thing I do, this coax from Chameleon has a choke already on it, ferrite bead type choke. If you don't have that, another way to choke by or at the feed point is use a 1-to-1, like an LDG 1-to-1 choke, and just a short piece jumper there, and then hook the coax up there. But that's it. The coax is connected, and we're ready to get on the air. Here we go. Everything's hooked up. Coax is run. Here's my radio set up, ready to go. One thing I do as well, kind of show you as we go along here. After I build, I usually get all my other stuff wrapped up. I carry a bucket, it's what I do, because I go down to the beach, and that's kind of waterproof for me. Put everything I use in there, because learn that the hard way. You will you will forget something, drop something, leave it on the beach or what have you. Except for, as you can see, the pole. I always leave those nearby, because when I put that pole back together, those get lost easy as well. But really crazy last couple of days. We've gone through a G5 geomagnetic storm. I'm surprised I'm hearing anything here, but I'm gonna get on now and see if I can reach anybody. And one quick thing before I try to get on the air here, that I did say I was going to talk a little bit. This is a vertical antenna and a vertical build. A lot of people want to build a dipole or horizontal. One thing I get this question a lot, is cutting the wire for length on a dipole or a let's just say a random wire, a long wire antenna. And this is let's pretend this is an insulator. It's a rubber wine stopper. Don't judge me. People ask about measuring the wire, and does this twisted wire at the end, does it count in the measurement? No, it doesn't. The measurement for that wire starts here, where you make the loop in the insulator, and then this way, down the wire. The excess is just to get this thing mounted and on the insulator itself. So that's a question I get a lot with horizontal wires or long wires or whatever, is the measuring the wire and cutting. Always give yourself 4 or 5 extra inches to twist it. A lot of times with thinner wire, this is a 16 gauge speaker wire, I'll also put some electrical tape on it, make it stout and make it hold. I've built a lot of horizontal and long wires as well, and have done it this way and measured them out. So that's the one horizontal wire tip that I wanted to throw in there as well. I know this has been a vertical antenna build, but kind of wanted to throw that in there as well.
Copy that. Good reach into Texas from Michigan here. Have a great weekend out there, Tom.
7-3.
Was that November 8, Juliet Romeo Delta, operating US 1518.
Kilo 4, Oscar, Golf, Oscar.
Whiskey 0 Delta, Oscar, Sierra, Connor, 59 US 1518. Hey, I got your 59 into Missouri, Jim. Thanks for the flight. Have fun out there. Yeah, good to hear from you again, man. Hey, 7-3, my friend. Was that November 8, Juliet Romeo Delta, US 1518.
Kilo 4, Oscar, Golf, Oscar.
Kilo 4, Oscar, Golf, Oscar. I have you 59 US 1518. Go ahead.
QSL, you're 5-9 into Romeo, India, Rhode Island.
All right, we'll take that. Just let me verify. Kilo 4, Oscar, Golf, Oscar, correct?
Correct, that is correct. You can log me as Kilo 4, Oscar, Golf, Oscar, stroke, Whiskey 1. That'll put Rhode Island in your log.
Okay, that makes more sense. I appreciate that clarification.
Hey, no worries. Thanks for the contact. 73, my friend.
73. QRZ, November 8, Juliet Romeo Delta, operating US 1518.
Well, there you go. That's how I build antennas. A little bit of shortcuts, a little hacking and whacking and what have you, but they work and I get it up in the air. And I just wanted to put this video together because I get asked that question a lot. They're always saying, you're not building the antenna. You've already built it. We don't get to see you build it. There you go. You got to see me build an antenna. And what goes on after the little intro and while the music's playing, that's it right there. I'm building the antenna. And like I said, this is a vertical antenna. I did show you a little trick for some horizontal antennas. I built a lot of horizontal antennas. I was over for a couple of years working back and forth in Europe. And while I was over there working under the CEPT agreement with SP, I was in Poland. As I built, I had a backyard, so I would build a lot of, I built... end-fed half waves that I sloped out the window, random wires, all kind of stuff. I built, inverted Vs, a lot of fun with longer wire antennas, stuff that wasn't vertical. So a lot of tips and stuff you can do. I mean, cutting a wire and attaching a transformer is not rocket science, but I just wanted to put that together and show you. This was a fun antenna to build, the 17.5. I've used it. One way you can use this by the water. What I usually do by the water, if you're not a subscriber to this channel, is when I'm by salt water, I just put one counterpoise and just kind of kiss the salt water. You get such a coupling with the surrounding ground around you with that one counterpoise. You really don't need four. I used to when I first started operating and doing stuff, by salt water. I would use four, and I just found that not that much difference between 4 and 1 when you're on the salt water. I really wanted to build this antenna on the ground and as if I was inland. I know I was by water still, but yeah, I wanted to do it so you could see what it was like for me to build the antenna on the ground, and you could build this the same way. I really meant this this video to be for people that are just beginning to build portable antennas. I would encourage you to go out and build some. Like I said, I kind of strip and curl on stuff like that. If you're going to make an antenna that you're going to use over and over and over again, I would highly recommend soldering on some some connectors that you can just pop on and off. What I do sometimes is when I save wire or an antenna I'm going to use it over again, I just take a plastic bag and roll up the driven element and the counterpoise wires, put it in it right on the bag, quarter wave for 20 meters or whatever, vertical for 20 or whatever, and save them that way. And do that. I did show you one QSO. I made 5 or 6 QSOs. The noise floor was so crazy here because we just came out of a G5 last night. I mean, it was aurora across the world, I'm sure. But we had a bad solar storm. And today the conditions has said that noise floor was just stupid loud. I really had the intention of coming out here and just building the antenna and showing you how to do it. But hey, you got an antenna in the air, you got to see what you can do. So made quite a few. I had 5 or 6 contacts. The noise was so loud. I just want to show you the clearest, cleanest one. And like I said too, I'm right next to shipyard here, so I know there's probably some noise in there, and I apologize for that. Hey, if you're not a subscriber, I build a lot of antennas. I'm really into propagation and really into operating by salt water, but you don't have to be by salt water to enjoy the channel and enjoy what I do. Typically what I do, I have videos, I call them coastal radio exploring, and then after I get through playing, I'll go to a little shanty food dive or something like that. I'm not going to do that today. This is more just an instructional how-to video, but if you want to see my adventures, I'm currently in Rhode Island. I'm from Virginia and the Outer Banks of North Carolina. That's where it's home for me. So I have a lot of, if you go back through my videos, a lot of operating on the Outer Banks of North Carolina, in the Hampton Roads, Virginia Beach, Portsmouth, Norfolk area. I live in Portsmouth, I live right down by the harbor. A lot of operating mast seawater there. So if you want to see those, please like and subscribe and come along on the journey with me. I'm not an expert by no means. I just like to, as I'm learning, kind of document it and add it into my videos as well. I hope you enjoyed this one. Get some wire, get a pole, get some tape, get a tape measure, and start cutting wires and get out there and make some antennas. It's a lot of fun, and you learn a lot by doing it. Anyway, until next time, I'm Walt, K4OGO, Stroke Whiskey 1. If you heard that in the video, I'm in Rhode Island. Thanks for watching, guys. 73.